So we know that Kaspa solves the trilemma, but it doesn't stop there. Kaspa solves also the DeFi trilemma. DeFi, decentralized finance, there's three main issues within decentralized finance that Kaspa finally solves for crypto. Now, these three problems, it's pretty interesting. This AI agent lays it out. The fact that, all right, there's liquidity fragmentation, there's L2 extraction, and then there's sovereignty without breaking composability. So let's break these three concepts down to understand what this trilemma, what are these problems currently in this programmable crypto inside DeFi? What are these problems that are stopping Ethereum and Solana from reaching their full potential? Because Kaspa unlocks everything. And through vProgs with zero knowledge proofs, especially with Dagnite, Kaspa is going to be able to take crypto to the next level. All right, so liquidity fragmentation, this happens on L2, on different layers, on layer 2s from the layer 1, you have fragmented liquidity. You have to, in order to move from one layer 2 to another, it requires bridging, and it's not seamless. But all with vProgs on the L1, there will be zero fragmentation, zero. Okay, so that covers the first point. L2 extraction. So this is just how L2s operate. They operate in a very selfish way because they want to maximize their own profit. These L2s, for example, the one, especially, this is basically going at Eager Labs and all the L2s on Ethereum. They have their own coin, they have their own fees. And for example, even with Casplex, with having to bridge back to the L1, it has like a 0.05 or a 0.5% fee in order to do that. I forget the exact number, but it's a hefty fee. So they have their own extraction methods, whether through a coin, whether through a pre-sale, whether through bridging fees. There's that fragmentation is just like further, they want fragmentation because they want to keep their L2, that L2 to have the most liquidity, to have the most volume, to have the most fees, because that's what's going to make them most profitable. They're not more so inclined to let the L1 have the power, to let the L1 have the most volume, to have the most liquidity. That's not their inclination. Yonatan was going into detail. I mean, it's crazy too. He changed his profile picture and he changed his banner as well. This profile picture, I mean, it looks like a young boy looking down a path, like maybe down a doorway, or this looks like a path forward through darkness, and it's just like a toddler. Maybe he drew this when he was little, I don't know, but it's pretty. I see this as basically Kaspa trying to stay on track with with the different, there's a lot of FUD, there's a lot of the distractions, the different L2 players. But this path is focusing on the L1 Kaspa itself, and this is the young toddler. That's Kaspa. That's what I think it's at. And here he's chess grandmaster Yonatan. I wonder what this is about. So maybe he was watching this back in the day and he was a fan of this certain game. I don't know. It also refers to how strategic this planning is for Kaspa moving forward, especially from right now, focusing on the L1. This is a chess game in action. Chess against the industry. Chess against the entire traditional finance industry, but not just the traditional finance, but also within the crypto industry. This is a chess game against that. This is high stakes, of course, on the line. So Yonatan's giving it his best game. Here he goes, sovereignty as a service. He's talking about the power of vProgs. Here he goes through the cases for L1 versus L2, a misalignment that Ethereum suffers from, and basically saying the case 3 is the best case scenario where the L1 ends up having a healthy competitive market, one with many programmable extensions. These would inevitably be small, hence scoped in activity. It's like ZK smart contracts, dApps, and vProgs. So it's basically the best of all worlds where everything could live together, but there's not like a single, I guess, L2 dominant player. There's not a single, there's not a focus on L2 fragmentation or L2 extraction. It's more so having that L1 foundation for all these different applications and layers. So let me go into detail about what it means to be composable and to be sovereign. So here's an easy to understand breakdown of it, referring to Legos. Okay, sovereignty, here's AI, you gotta love it. So sovereignty referring to basically being able to, you decide who can play with your own toys. Basically having your own rules for your own toy box. You have your own toy box, you own it, you control the rules. Nobody can take your toys without asking. It means that you have complete control over your digital assets and programs, essentially. Okay, sovereignty. Now, composability, it's like you can literally connect your own Lego castle to someone else's, your friend's Lego spaceship. Basically means your different programs and apps can work together, share information easily. So what's the deal with the current problems, the current L2 ecosystem of Ethereum, for example? The problem that Kaspa solves is that normally you can only choose one. You could either choose to have your sovereignty, basically that you keep your toys in your room, you're totally in charge, but then you can't play with your friends. You can't play with your friends easily with like your Legos. Otherwise, you choose to be composable, basically where you can share the playroom with everyone plays together, but now other people are making the rules. These other people are essentially the L2. These different L2s, they're essentially these different playrooms, but then they have their own rules. You just can't get the best of both worlds. But in this case, it's like having a magic doorway between your room and your friend's room, where you're still in complete control of everything in your own room, full sovereignty, but then you could pass toys around, play with each other together in meaningful ways, composability. So here's another breakdown. Sovereignty means complete control and isolation. Your program's logic is executed in secure, tamper-proof box, like a virtual machine. This is essentially like your own private server in the cloud, but it's decentralized. So there's no reliance on shared resources. There's no one that could leak data or outsiders interfering. This is what a vProg is. This is what a verified program on Kaspa is. This is essentially a decentralized version of Solana. Solana is something similar, but it doesn't use zero knowledge proofs. So Kaspa's zero knowledge proofs allows this to be extremely decentralized, tamper-proof. It computes things off-chain and then verifies the computation on-chain. The applications are quite literally endless. So now being able to have full sovereignty with vProgs on the L1 and full composability, which means seamless interoperability, meaning this is like the whole point of vProgs as well as having the sovereignty. This is extremely important. Basically being able to link up like functions and code. One app's output feeds directly into another's input without silos. Kaspa nails the full sovereignty without breaking. For example, tech can use deterministic execution, atomic swaps. Isolation doesn't kill the fun of building Lego-like dApps. That's just wild, because imagine you build something and now you could just connect it like a Lego. Connect different type of, all right, you have a Lego castle, let me connect my super cool cannon onto your castle. It's a big leap for blockchains. This is huge. This is going to be the next generation, making things faster and safer than Ethereum-style setups, and of course, much more efficient, much more decentralized, and reliable than Solana, with their own centralized solution and their outages that they have, and the high requirements to become a Solana validator as well, and all that money you need. Kaspa keeps it decentralized, drops the mic, more deets coming. It's a game changer. It's absolutely a game changer. The impossible part is doing all three at once, which now Kaspa is able to do. AI understands it. The masses will come to understand it next. This was just a whole chain of comments. Hashtags calling it correctly. L2s extract value. They don't create it. Kaspa's betting on sovereignty being the end game. Absolutely. And the market hasn't priced that thesis yet. I mean, this is some wild talk. There's some wild, being able to price that in, being able to put a value on sovereignty. Sovereignty is just, it's absolutely everything, where you have full control over your own virtual machine, the code within a vProg. You have full ownership and control of that, but now you could connect it with other applications out there and create just an incredible development ecosystem like none other. So of course, that's why Yonatan is playing the grandmaster in his chess game. This chess game is for Kaspa, is for L1 Kaspa. It's putting Kaspa not only in the top 5, but as the #1 crypto in the entire industry and for the future to come. So Kaspa is going to become the first ZK compatible proof of work crypto, and not just as ZK, it doesn't stop there, but having full sovereignty, having full composability, all on the L1. It's mind-boggling while maintaining the scalability and of course decentralization. So that's a crazy thing about proof of work, that usually you can't get the scalability, but Kaspa is built different. Solving the trilemma, the scalability, the decentralization, security, but now also solving the DeFi trilemma. So no longer do you have liquidity fragmentation, no longer do you have L2 extraction, and no longer do you have governed and controlled servers. Now you have fully sovereign control. So this is just, Kaspa is just wild. And obviously the markets haven't priced it in yet, obviously. But what has been priced in, I mean, Murad has already priced in the fact that Kaspa's community is different. Kaspa's community is a cult.
Cult is just a word we use to kind of filter a complicated idea into a single word. And that idea is the way XRP
work,
the way Cardano
the
way Link people
work,
the way Kaspa people work.
Kaspa, let's go. Last but not least,
super passionate about it.
Link
people were the way Kaspa people
Kaspa.
It's those like crazy people,
Crazy people. They call us crazy.
Super passionate about it.
Super passionate because it is next level. And notice that Kaspa is the newest tech of all of them. It's a tech breakthrough. Murad, I mean, he's a big time meme coin guy. He really likes the SPX 600 or whatever it is, 6900. He really likes that. But at the end of the day, that meme coin is on a blockchain. Natively, it was built on a blockchain. And yeah, it could be cross-compatible. It could have on different blockchains. But at the end of the day, it's on a blockchain, okay? And it was built on a blockchain. What is the first and leading meme coin to every single blockchain? That's what makes Nacho the cat different. That's what makes it shine in all this millions and millions of meme coins. Nacho the cat, nothing will ever be first again. What they're building, all right, they were the first, but not only do they stop at being the first, but now they're building hand in hand with Kaspa. That's the way it should be. Also fair launched, sharing the values of Kaspa, the most fairly distributed meme coin that you could ever find in the crypto market as well. So it's one of the top 5 factors that makes a coin success. The fact that it has this cult community, being, the fact that it's even our greatest strength, having a voice when Cole's key opinion leaders, they stay unpaid and they stay silent despite our breakthroughs. So of course, you have this shill, this low-key shill by Murad. Kaspa is being seen, Kaspa is being heard, and once vProgs and Dagnite, zero knowledge proofs, once all this comes into the picture, it's going to be impossible to ignore the technology, the advancement that Kaspa offers to the crypto industry. It's going to quite literally be impossible, to the point where you have to notice it, otherwise you're going to get left behind. And then those that do notice it, they're going to see the benefits of being an early adopter of this technology. So that's why Kraken really did a smart move, getting in early as a tier 1 as fast as possible. As of course, they have much less legal scrutiny than something like Coinbase, Binance. So it's a lot easier for Kraken being a little smaller, but still, so of course you already know institutions are coming to Kaspa. Keep hodling your bags, especially when we're at an extreme fear period. This is the darkness before the light. We're in the tunnel, and our era is coming. Mid-2026, going into 2027, it's going to be huge for Kaspa. Technologically speaking, it's going to create a FOMO level like none other. Kaspa Key here is already talking about Kaspa with Global Annual Summit. They're already discussing Kaspa and how it could improve and be a utility for their energy, their whole energy infrastructure. Because they have this, they also operate this company, Desert Energy. It's a big, huge thing out, I don't know, somewhere out in Europe or North Africa or somewhere in Africa. I don't know. But they have a huge conglomerate of a company working with energy. So, of course, they want to introduce Kaspa and integrate Kaspa in their whole business and create multiple businesses from Kaspa, using Kaspa as the infrastructure, as the rails. So it's pretty crazy. Gotta love it, man. Nodes all-time high. We need to decentralize Kaspa, all right? So Solana has, for example, hundreds of nodes. I think it may even have 800 validators. All right, we need to get to 1,000. We are more decentralized than Solana because the minimum requirements to become a node operator for Kaspa is so minuscule that there's nothing stopping every single Caspian to become a node, to run a node, a public node. There's nothing stopping us. For Solana, you need to have so much money to become a validator. You need to have an enormous server, like enormous hardware. It's so costly. Solana is much more, it's a lot more adopted. So they allow that's what they've been able to build. They have a lot more people out there, but no, we're grassroots, and it is on us to show and prove to the world that Kaspa is the most decentralized crypto out there, not just with nodes, but also with mining, hashing power, whole miners. That's the difference that Kaspa allows. So we need to keep pushing for nodes. Absolutely, you have to. If you truly believe in the block DAG, you must run a Kaspa node. All right, check my videos. I have 2 videos out. I highly recommend running it from your own home rather than using Flux. But Flux, it's still a great option if you have, even to run them simultaneously. You have one from home, run 3 nodes on Flux, no problem. Or yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm running one from home, and I got 3 somewhere in Europe on Flux. So it's awesome. All right, so this is no better time to run a node. Let's get to 1,000. So 1,000 nodes is our floor value. Oh, that's going to be our macro floor. Let's work for that. All right, stay bullish, because Jim Craner officially turned bearish. This is the time where you must stay bullish. Literally, Kaspa's finally bouncing back up. This is the time, and of course, the era for Kaspa's coming. Stay bullish, my friends. Till the next one. Peace out.